Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited for today's video because I'm going to be sharing with you 24 books that I want to read in 2024. This video is coming a little bit later than I anticipated, but I have quite a few books on my physical TBR that I would like to get through this year, and this is just kind of scratching the surface, but I would really like to actually accomplish reading all 24 of these. I've also set a book buying ban I'm on a book buying ban until I'm able to read 20 books. Should I do 24? Maybe I should do 24. Like, I have to read 24 books before I can buy another book. Okay, we'll do 24. We'll do 24. I've only read one physical book off my TBR today. When I do my monthly TBRs, I will give you guys an update on this. But I will say, compared last year, I feel like wintertime I seem to be in a book slump, which is kind of weird because you'd think you're indoors, you should be reading. And I also feel like I buy the least amount of books around this time of year, but I know spring, summer, I'm gonna be wanting to buy all the books. So we need to chop. We need to read 24 books so that I'm able to buy those books when I want to. Now there are a couple books that I've already purchased this year. I think I purchased 2 or 3 this year. And they're on, I'm gonna wheel over my little, that was a loud noise, wheel over my little stack. But I've maybe purchased 2 or 3 books this year. Now we need to finish 24 before we can buy any more. This is going to be in no particular order. These are just books. Some of them are new, some of them are old. They're books I'd like to get through before the end of the year. I also did post 15 books that will self-destruct before the end of 2024, or will self-destruct in 12 months. If you're interested in that, I'll leave that linked below, but that adds even an additional pile of books to read. Some of them, I don't know if I included any of them in this stack. But anyway, I also am not including any books that are set to release this year that are not on my physical TBR. These are 24 books on my physical TBR that I want to get through this year. I do plan to post, I feel like I'm just so far behind. I do want to post my most anticipated reads of the year. So that video may be coming. Anyway, if you're interested in seeing the 24 books that I'm hoping to move from my unread shelf to my read shelf, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I do hope you'll consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. Okay, you guys, I literally just have 3 stacks of 8 in front of me. So in no particular order at all, the first book I have on my list of books that I want to get through this year is Did You Hear About Kitty Carr? This is by Crystal Smith Paul, and I really don't know a whole lot about this book other than I've heard people say if you liked The 7 Wives of Evelyn Hugo, you will really like this book. It's comparable. If it's old Hollywood, I will really like it, I think. And the little big blurb up, the little blurb up here says, a multi-generational saga that traverses the glamour of old Hollywood and the seductive draw of modern day showbiz. That just sounds like something I'll really enjoy. I don't even really I kind of want to go into this book blind, just so I'm not going in with expectations, but this was getting a ton of buzz earlier this year. I never got around to reading it, and it's definitely something I want to pick up off my shelf this year. I also really want to continue on in the Calloway Sisters series. I'm what am I thinking? So the next book I have to read is Feel the Fire. I'm actually hoping to get through at least 3 or 4 books. I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So do I only have 4 left? Maybe my goal should be to finish the series this year. It just makes me sad to think about finishing the series because I love this world and these characters so much. I do know Kristen Becker Ritchie I hope it's a new series. I think it's a new series, but starting a new series this year, which I'm really excited for. And I'd be curious if you guys have read the Like Us series, what your thoughts are. I would be very curious. But next book would be Feel the Fire, and hoping to read that. Then I have The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. I feel like I heard someone compare this to the show Scandal, which I absolutely love, and instantly I was hooked. It had been something that had been on and off my thoughts to read anyway, so this is something that I actually am currently reading. I'm only about 3 chapters in, but so far I've enjoyed this, and I'm hoping that this will be one that I can get read pretty quickly here. Next up, my friend Emily here on YouTube. She is McKenna's Mama, which is more her book focused channel. Emily and Max for her beauty channel, who I had the absolute pleasure of meeting, rooming with, hanging out with in Vegas for a few days at the end of 2023, sent me this book, which I thought was so sweet of her. And I am definitely really excited to read this and want to get to this very soon. This is Before We Were Strangers, a love-hate love story. First of all, this actually is not like the thickest book, but I believe this is set in New York City, and I believe it's second chance romance, which ever since reading Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, I have been like wanting to read more second chance romance. Childhood Friends to Lovers I would love to read. And so I think this is gonna give a bit of that vibe, and I'm really excited to get to this one. By Lauren Asher. I picked this up at the end of 2023. My daughter and I went on a little Barnes & Noble date, and she helped me pick out from like a slew of books the book that I was gonna read, and then she also picked out a couple of books. But this is Love Redesigned, and this is, I think this is also gonna be a series. I could be wrong, but the Lakefront Billionaires series. And I believe this is set in the same town that the third and final book of the Dreamland Billionaires series was set in. I've heard Sarah Caroli just talk about how great this book was, and so I'm really excited to get along to it. Lake Wisteria is where it is set, and it's about an interior designer, and I thought there was like possibly a reality show, but I could just be dreaming that up because I'm so excited for Vanderpump Rules to start that like all I can think about is reality television. And this video might be going up after Vanderpump, like the first episode airs. Who else is super excited about it? Anyway, excited to get around to this one. It's such a chunky one. Lauren Asher and her chunky book. Speaking of chunky books, I still have not gotten around to reading a Mariana Zapata book, and the one that I have physically is All Roads Lead Here, which I believe is a small town. I want to say it might be like she ends either a marriage or a long-term relationship and then goes back to her hometown, and I don't know if it's second chance or it's just they meet in a small town, but I love the cover of this. I feel like I might save this one more for like end of August, beginning of September, because this is giving like more fall vibes, but I really, hold me to it, I really do need to get around to this one this year. Two more romance books. I'm actually reading this right now. This is Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood. I have yet to read an Allie Hazelwood book, and so I really wanted to get around to doing it. We are headed to Valentine's Day soon, so I'm currently filming a reading vlog, reading some rom-coms, and this is one of them. I am about 120 pages in, and I am loving this so far. I recently heard someone talk about the book Checkmate, which is her new, like, I don't know how new, but her YA book that I believe she released last year. I would also be interested in reading that when I can buy books again, but that one's on the list. And then I did pick this. This is one of the books I purchased this year. This is The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. This would be my second book that I would be reading from her, and I picked this up specifically for that reading vlog. I had heard someone talk about this last year, and this actually is about a reality dating show. What I know about this book is you are following, I believe his name is Connor, and he is like a filmmaker or a producer, but his boss essentially tells him like reality TV is where the money's at and wants him to produce a reality TV show. He has the perfect woman in mind, someone that he used to know, and I believe right before they start filming, the two of them have like a connection, but then like he really needs her to do the show so that like he can make money. I think he also might be a single dad. He might be. Reality TV, say no more. I'm there. So I'm very excited to read this. I will be reading this as soon as I finish this one, actually. So hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll be starting this one, and this will be another one off the TBR shortly. Okay, so that was our first stack of 8. And again, not really in any particular order. We can talk about some fantasy books though that I'm interested in reading. I still have yet to read Iron Flame, so I do really want to get to this. I am also intimidated by the length of this, and I also feel like this has gotten extremely mixed reviews, although I did recently talk about this and many of you said that you actually enjoyed this book. So I'm gonna go in with, you know, the expectation, with 0 expectations. I'm not gonna go in thinking I'm not gonna like it, but I'm not gonna go in thinking it's going to be a new 5-star, and we'll just see what happens. I am super excited to continue on in this series though, because I, like so many others, really loved the first book. And then speaking of extremely raved about books. We have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I am just curious what all the hype's about. I believe this is about 2 reporters or something about like magical typewriters. Not necessarily what I feel like would be a book that I personally would love, but everybody talks about just like how magical and lovely the romance is in this book. And I just, you know, I'm curious. I was gonna say I'm curious, so I really do want to get to that one as well. I also have Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. I heard Rachel from Raven Haired Reader talk about this book. She talked about the found family in this book and I was sold. I believe there's also dragons in this book. I believe she also said if you like Fourth Wing, like you should check this out. And I was like, yeah, there's gotta be dragons. They're on the cover. I was like, dragons and found family? Literally say no more. Say less, as the kids say these days. And then, speaking of people who said if you like Fourth Wing, you'll like this, Sarah Caroli was saying if you like Fourth Wing, you should read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. And I have heard nothing but good things about this one as well. I've heard this has maybe similarities to Hunger Games. I need to reread the Hunger Games series this year. Like, I need to reread that series. But I think this is about a girl who has to like fake that she has powers. I love an underdog story. You know, I have not really tried to describe many of the other books here. That's really all I know about this. I'd like to go in as blind as possible to this as well, just because I feel like I'll enjoy it more then, but I'm very excited to get to that one. Okay, you guys, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I need to get to. I know I'm gonna love this one. I feel like I just know I'm going to. I'm so intimidated because I hear so many people say the first 100 pages is just like hard to get through, hard to understand, hard to connect the dots, but once you get past that point, like, it's so good. And for some reason, I feel like because I loved Vengeance and Vengeful so much, not that I've heard literally anyone compare the 2 books, but I feel like maybe it's like I feel like the covers are similar. I feel like I'm gonna love this. I feel like there's a heist involved in this, and like a heist sounds so entertaining. So this is one I must get to that this year. I also have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I heard Rachel Catherine talking really highly about this book, and just the way she was describing it, I felt like it sounded like a very entertaining read. I believe it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and it's set in 1926 Shanghai. And I believe, and I could be wrong, I thought that there was some sort of fantasy element to this as well. Gangsters on both sides show signs of instability. Accumulating. Oh, this sounds really good. I need to get to the, I want to read, like, don't you wish you could just like snap your fingers and consume a book? Yeah, me too. I have a couple of other recommendations from Rachel Catherine. So I have One Dark Window, who I also saw Sarah Caroli recently speak really highly about this book too. I believe this is more of like a Gothic fantasy. I literally have no idea what this is about, but this is one I feel like I'm going to reserve for the fall time, because I feel like the Gothic vibes are giving more fall. That was also another stack of 8, just so you know. So I believe we have 8 more to go. And naturally I have 1 extra book, I believe. That would happen. You know what's so funny is I grabbed an extra book because I counted. I was like, oh shoot, I'm short 1. And now I feel like I'm over 1. Anyway, okay, I have The Witch Collector, which I also heard Rachel talking about, and this just sounds like a fantasy that's like not too complex, that would be really digestible and just like a fun read. This has something to do with like the harvest moon, and like I think a witch goes missing, or like they have to kill a witch every harvest moon, and then they like, don't want that to happen. Yeah, clearly I'm not exactly sure what that's about either. Okay, well, maybe I can like kick this off the list, but like I also really want to get to this, a reread of The Night Circus, because this was, I just remember reading this book. I can't remember if it was middle school or high school. I feel like it was high school. And I remember exactly where I was when I finished this book. I was in my sister and I's bunk bed in high school. And I just remember like being just in awe of like what I had just read, and just this feeling of like, I will never read a book better than this. And I'm really curious reading it now, more than a decade later, would I still feel the same way? I don't know. Okay, The Naturals. This is the first book, but I would likely want to read the whole series. So maybe I should like reserve this for like book 24 out of 24 physically read so that I can then go by, because I feel like when I read this, I'm gonna want to like read the series like back to back to back. But I am so disappointed for myself for not getting around to this last year. If you guys don't know, this is written by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, who is also the author of, I can see the books, why can't I? The Inheritance Games. It literally says it right up here. And I've heard people talk about this like basically like teen Criminal Minds. And ever since reading the Mindfuck series, I was like, I need all of the like Criminal Minds types of things, but also like I wish there was like a good mix of like serial killers in there as well. Anyway, what I would give to reread the Mindfuck series for the first time, like, you know, to erase your memory of it and then reread it, what I would give. Anyway, all that to say, I've heard nothing but great reviews about the Natural series, so I'm looking to read that. This is my year to read my first Sarah J. Maas book. The only one that is currently sitting on my shelves is A Court of Thorns and Roses. I don't know why, I can't get myself to pick this up. I feel like I'm doing that thing where I'm like, what if I don't understand it? What if I don't like it like other people like it? What if? But you know what? We won't know unless we try. Right, Steph? Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is a chunky book, but I believe Rachel Catherine rated this a 5-star, and I was like, Plus I feel like it's like superheroes. Like I feel like it sounds like an extremely entertaining book, so I'm interested. Okay, Happy Place by Emily Henry. My friends and I decided to start a book club, and this is the first book that we are going to be reading. I'm nervous because I didn't love, I can't remember, is it Beach Read? Or it's Beach Read. I didn't love Beach Read. I was extremely bored. Maybe it was like the time, like maybe I was in a book somewhere I read, but I just did not love Beach Read. And so I'm like, am I gonna like be bored? Am I gonna like it? Am I gonna hate it? I don't know. I also really wanted to read this last summer and then never did in the summertime. And I feel like I would like to read this more in the summer because I feel like it's giving, like I believe they're at a summer house. Like the majority of this book is taking place at like a summer cottage or a summer house, and I feel like the vibe would just be better if I read it in the summer. So I might, you know, might ask the girlies if we can switch up the book. Might ask them. But I do want to still read that nevertheless before the end of the year. I'm nervous about this one. Never by Jessa Hastings. I was so excited for this release. This, I believe, arrived the day that I like arrived home from Las Vegas. I was like, I'm gonna have something to look forward to when I get home. And then I feel like I waited a couple days to like pick it up because there's that part of you that's like, Jessa Hastings is one of, if not my favorite author, but like what if I don't like this new series that she is creating? So I put it off, and then I like went to like read reviews, which I just shouldn't have done. And this has not been a well-received book, so I just have not picked it up. But I do really want to read this year and just get my own opinion. Maybe I'll love it, maybe I'll hate it, who knows? But I want to know. Okay, Carissa Broadbent's Daughter of No Worlds. I heard Rachel from Raven-Haired Reader talking about this at the end of 2022, I believe, and I was really intrigued. And then I picked it up this year and told myself I would read it this fall, and alas, I did not. So I am really interested in this. I've heard this is more of like a cozy fantasy, the first like half at least of the book. And I also feel like I would really like the love story in this book. I feel like this might, and I could just be speaking for myself, but I feel like this might give like Hunger Games-ish vibes. I feel like I just haven't fully committed, and by fully I mean I've not committed at all. Like I've gone on like not even one date. Like I've woken up after a one-night stand, left, and like still thought about this book, but like I've left, and like there's like that thought in the back of my head that I might still like this, but I haven't really committed to exploring a relationship with fantasy or even romantic fantasy. Fantasy romance. Oh my gosh. But I feel like I would like really like it if I like really dove into it, because I loved Hunger Games so much. And I feel like one thing I would really love about fantasy romance that I feel like I hear so many talking about is just like the high stakes of the romance. But I'm just so afraid to commit, you know? All right, and then this might be book 25. But again, Rachel from Raven's Haired Reader was recently talking about the final book in the Jade City trilogy. And I feel like I've heard many people talk about this. I feel like I've heard mixed reviews on this book, but I'm just really curious. I've always been curious about Jade City. So I have the first book. I purchased this year. I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, this looks like it's a long one. Small font, larger paragraphs. I'm like, this is gonna take a little bit to get through, but I'm definitely interested in reading this one as well. And after that, you guys, those are all 25 books that I personally would love to read in 2024. I'm excited to check in at the end of the year, see where we're at, see what I was successful in, see what I wasn't. Regardless, I need to finish 24 physical books before I am allowed to purchase another book in this year. So wish me luck on that. That is gonna wrap it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch and for supporting me and my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.